Very good morning to everybody. This is Sanoujam from Gradeup, and I take, as all of you know by now, I take up an article every day in the morning at 10 o'clock and discuss it threadbare, discuss it thoroughly with you, right? And by the way, the article is mostly taken from the Hindu, but for the last 2 or 3 days, I have actually started looking at other sources also, partly because of the fact that nowadays most newspapers contain very negative things about the pandemic, right? So every day, day in and out, if we discuss only that, it becomes a little bit pessimistic, right? So that is the reason why today I have picked up an article which is taken from Eon. Partial reason is that. Another reason is that the article which I've taken today is basically based on the topic which a lot of people find a little bit difficult to cope with. The topic is religious philosophy, right? And it is written in a language which is slightly suitable for a person who speaks the language as the first language. In short, it will be very relevant to the kind of passages which come in the exam cap. So I hope all of you can see and hear me clearly. So very good morning to all of you. And by now, I hope all of you are very familiar with these sessions. What we do is we pick up articles and discuss it completely, right? So let's begin the session. Now, before we begin, as usual, some information about things which might be of help to you. All of you know about the Gradeup app. The app is something which you can download for free, and you can avail yourself of many sessions like this, which will help you in your preparation for the exam, right? And one important thing. There is going to be a mock, right, which is based on DI and LR. It is going to be live from the 15th to the 17th of May. The purpose here is you're going to pit yourself against people who are preparing for the same exam. So you will know how prepared you are, how do you stand vis-a-vis the other people preparing for the same exam. Right. And by the way, something which you already know most probably, there is a batch which you can actually think of joining. By the way, you can access this batch if you have subscribed to Gradeup. Super. Right. So let's quickly begin. And as I was telling you, the article which I have taken today is from this source, Eon. Right. And I have already told you I have picked up, the article from this source. Two reasons. Number one, we get tired of pandemic. Right, there are issues, every channel nowadays you open, it's all about that. So probably we can change a little bit. And another reason is that this topic is something which a lot of people find difficult. So let's try to get ourselves acquainted with it. And by the way, all of you know that the best way to prepare for something which you are not familiar with is something called conditioning. What is conditioning? Conditioning is nothing else but getting used to it, and the best way to get used to it is to get exposed to it. So that is what we are doing here, right? So a very good morning to everybody once again. Let's read this. I will give you 20 seconds to read it, and then we will take up. And by the way, focus on the words which are underlined and highlighted, but you should also focus on what the author is trying to tell you. For example, I will ask you many questions, right? In the middle of the discussion, I will ask you, okay, what do you expect from now onwards after reading the first slide? Okay, let's see. So be yourself, everyone else has already taken this popular quip. What is a quip? So very good morning to everybody. What is this quip? Let's say I do not know the meaning of the word quip. Can I guess from the concept? Be yourself, everyone else is already taken. So it's like a popular saying, right? So that much we can we can guess from the context. What is the meaning of a quip? Quip is basically like a witty remark. I can use it like a noun. I can use it like a verb also. So quip here refers to this. So be yourself, everybody else has already taken. And it is often misattributed to Oscar Wilde. So misattributed meaning many people think it comes from Oscar Wilde, but it is not. So it appears without any apparent irony in self-help books and blog posts celebrating authenticity. What is authenticity? Authenticity basically means originality or being unique, right? Being genuine, being unique. Here it refers to, if you notice, place, connect the things. It's about authenticity is basically about being yourself. So therefore it means being original here. Okay, being original, not copying others. Now, yes, Mahalakshmi, quip is a funny remark, but here it means funny, but not funny in an intelligent way, right? So it is a smart or a witty remark, right? Now, there is one thing which I would like you to pay attention to, right? Why is the author saying irony here? Right? He says this quip or this sentence comes without any irony in self-help books and blog posts, right? So why does he say this? This basically, straight away from this, can we sense that the author thinks that this statement itself is ironical. What is irony here? Irony basically means there's a discrepancy between what is the reality and what we expect. That means he does not like this argument, this quip very much. That is why he's saying people use it without any irony. Right. Now, it will be further explained when you come to the next slide. So, everybody is clear so far, I think. Okay, right. So, understandably, they take the dictum. What is a dictum? Dictum here basically means something like a proverb or a saying. A proverb or a saying. You can also find a synonym like maxim, proverb, saying, right? So, that is basically a dictum. Right. So everybody is clear so far, I think, right? Some of you are still joining in. I would like you to notice straight away, right, that when he says that people use this nowadays, this line is used in self-help books without any apparent irony. That means he thinks that there is something wrong with this remark itself. So we know that he is going to be against. So expect this as you read ahead. Again, when you go ahead, you will see whether what you're expecting is correct or not. Okay, let's see. All clear so far? Very good morning to everybody. Right. So understandably, they take the dictum. Dictum is maxim, proverb, saying to be oneself as a worthy, nearly unassailable goal. What is unassailable? Assail means to attack. Right. So unassailable means something which cannot be attacked. In short, it means something which is unquestionable. Unquestionable. So people take it to be an unquestionable goal. So that is what the author is trying to tell us. Right. All clear, I think. Shatabdi, discussing critical reasoning. Dekho, Shatabdi, critical reasoning and CR are very similar, because in critical reasoning, the skill that you require is definitely required when you read passages. So I hope everybody is clear. So what we are doing here is we are taking up an article and discussing it. This is the way in which you should read. So it's almost like practical. If you're running a marathon, the first thing you should do is to practice running. So we are doing that. It's like an authentic practical discussion, right? So all clear so far, I think, right? So now one more thing which I would like everybody to understand, right? Our culture is saturated. What does he mean by the word saturated? Saturated means filled to the brim. मतलब उसमें और नहीं भरा जा सकता. Saturated meaning completely full. Now notice words like irony, saturated, right? We are forever finding. Why does he put everything in quotes here? Finding ourselves, self-actualizing, doing you, being real, going off the beaten path, breaking free of the crowd. These are all terms that people use in trying to be authentic, right? And you can straight away see the author is slightly sarcastic right from the beginning. How do you know he's sarcastic? He says there is an irony in this statement, and our culture is filled with this. So there seems to be something like kuch zyada hi ho gaya, this point is taken too much. That is what the author wants to say. So Vaishnavi says that the meaning of saturated is almost overflow, not exactly overflow, right? About to overflow. Okay. So we spend our youth trying to figure out who we are, our later years trying to stay true in the time between about whether who we are and we thought we are. So if you notice, what do you understand? He is going to address an issue, right? That is, we should be ourselves, and he seems to convey the idea that this statement should be taken with a pinch of salt. I hope everybody is understanding this point, right? Ye jo, the quest to be ourselves, right? The author finds it ironical. Why is it ironical? We will understand it in the next slide. Now, this is what I want everybody to do, right? When you read the first paragraph like this, you should understand, acha, next what is likely to come. This is what is called active reading. So by now, I hope everybody is clear with what we do here. What we do is very simple, right? We try to, practice active reading, right? Okay, so he finds this statement. What statement? This quest to be ourselves a little bit ironical. Ironical means difference between what actually happens and what you expect. Right. So shall we change to the next slide? Let's move on to the next slide. So the next slide is a short one. Right now, straight away you will see that he finds it foolish. He finds the quote, "Be yourself," because everybody else is taken. He says that it is foolish. If you notice, a slide ago I had predicted, in fact everybody should have rather anticipated than predicted, that the author is slightly against this whole concept of try to be yourself, right? He finds it foolish. Why is it foolish? You will find it explained in the next 2 lines. Very simple. All this introspection basically means looking inwards, right? Or self-analysis. So introspection is looking inwards or self-analysis. Okay, I hope everybody is clear so far. Right. Now, what is gratuitous? Gratuitous as a word has 2 meanings. Right. I will tell you both. You will guess what is the meaning here. Gratuitous, number 1, it basically means something which is uncalled for. मतलब जिसकी कोई जरूरत नहीं है, something that is unnecessary, done without cause. For example, gratuitous violence, मतलब you indulge in violence without any reason. So uncalled for, without any reason, first meaning. Second meaning of gratuitous is something that is free, right? Free in the sense without a price. So which one is it? Can you guess? I have given you both the meanings of gratuitous. Can you guess? Right. Aditya, gratuitous, what you're telling me is slightly off. Gratuitous has 2 meanings. One is something that is uncalled for, right? Something जिसकी कोई जरूरत नहीं है. दूसरा, gratuitous service हो सकता है. Gratuitous service means, suppose, let's say, a lawyer, decides to go into gratuitous service. That means he does not charge anything. So which is the meaning that we are looking at? Yes, correct. So Janvi, correct. We are looking at the first meaning. Right. Now, so why does he call it gratuitous? You will understand it when you read the next slide. The next line. Okay, Satabdi, saturated, can we say soaked or drenched? Similar, but not exactly the same. Saturated means completely full, right? So full that you cannot add more to it. So that is the meaning of, that is the meaning of saturated. Clear? So gratuitous is the first meaning, is what we are looking at, right? Mahalakshmi, it's not the second. It's not the second because it's not the second one, because gratuitous, the second meaning is, like, suppose gratuitous service by a lawyer. It means he does not charge any money. So it is not about money. It is about something which is not at all necessary. All clear, I hope. Now, why does he find it gratuitous? Why does it find it, foolish, right? The answer to this is something which you can find. Why expend so much effort trying to be something we can't help but be? This is a very interesting and philosophical question. I mean, I know that I am myself. I cannot change it, right? There is no other option. So why do you have to waste so much time and effort in trying to be something which you cannot help but be? Can you be anybody else? No, right? I can only be myself. So if that is the case, why should I waste so much of resource and time in trying to be something which I cannot help? So do you understand why is he saying that it is foolish? So this is the beginning. This is what the author wants to, right? So in the end, you end up becoming yourself because there is no other option. Right, you are you. What is the point in trying to find you? Because you are you. You cannot change it. Right, everybody is clear so far? Right, let's move on to the next slide. I hope everybody understands that this is the way we should read the passage. Right, try to understand which way the author is going. If you anticipate this right in the beginning, it becomes much more easier to understand the entire passage, the entire article. All clear so far, I hope? Everything is clear, I hope? Yes. Next slide is this. And there's a deeper absurdity to authenticity. Authenticity is basically being original. So he says, what is absurdity? Absurdity means foolishness, stupidity. So it's something which so he is saying that it is all stupid, it is all foolish, right? It is the the attempt to be ourselves, the attempt to be genuine, right? The attempt to be, to be original is absurd. Why does he find it absurd? Let's see. Everyone else might be taken, but the effort to be ourselves is the surest part to being just like everyone else. That's a very interesting thing, right? If you try to be ourselves, right, you will end up like everybody else because everybody is also trying the same thing. So that way you are not at all authentic. Getting the point, right? So this is a very interesting, reasoning that he gives, right? So if you notice, this is like philosophy to a great extent simplified, but not as easy as it looks like. Right. Okay. Satabdi, how can we be familiar with all the words? Right. Familiar with all the words. Satabdi, let me tell you one thing. I started teaching people like you in 2003. And before that, I had done my master's in English literature. Even now, I still find words which are new. Right. ये natural है. What you could do is, एक तो if you come across words every day, you will keep on adding to your bank. It's like depositing money in the bank, number one. Number two, you can use the context to guess. So it's like an incremental, it's like bodybuilding. जितना exercise करो, कभी it's never going to be enough, right? So you will continue. It's like more of a, incremental kind of a process. All clear, I hope. Right. So everybody else might be taken. I hope all of you understand, right? If you try to be yourself, everybody else is trying to be themselves. So what is new in that? So there's nothing authentic about it. So that is what he's telling you. And he gives you in the context of a highly commodified, right? Highly commodified means highly materialistic, right? What is a commodity? Something, it's something that you can consume, a material that you can consume, that you require, that you want. Right. So commodified means highly materialistic. Okay. I hope all of you understand. So especially in nowadays culture, it is very difficult. It is useless to try to be yourself because everybody else is doing it. So you are not authentic. Right. So surveilled basically means to be put under surveillance. So why do we say surveil? Because nowadays, because of the internet, because of the boom of IT, everybody is watching everybody else. In short, when you go to Google, right, whatever you search, right, it is all recorded. Companies, organizations, right, they keep a watch on you and then they send the suitable ads for you. So this is basically surveilled. All clear? I hope everything is clear so far. So this is the culture that we are living in right now. So if some person or organization claims to be concerned with authenticity, you can almost be certain that they are conformist posers, right? So who is a poser? Somebody who pretends, right? So poser is somebody who pretends. So think of it as somebody who pretends. So he is telling you, if somebody says that I am trying to be authentic, right? Then he is saying the person who claims that he is trying to be authentic, he is a pretender. Pretender, what kind of a pretender? Conformist. Conformist basically means one who quietly follows the rules, right? One who quietly follows the rules without any disagreements. So if you notice, if you claim that you are trying to be authentic, you are actually the opposite. Getting the point, everybody? Right. So Satabdi, exact meaning of surveilled basically means to be put under close watch every time. Surveillance, say, it comes from the word surveillance, right? So surveilled basically means to be put under close watch, surveillance. Okay, all clear? I hope all of you can understand the meaning of the word conformist posers here also. So he is saying if somebody tells you that he is authentic, in fact he is the opposite, but he is pretending to be authentic. Okay, is everybody clear? I hope everything is clear here. Now if you notice, this argument contains a lot of clever remarks like this, right? So you will have to basically understand that this is also a kind of language which can be coming across which you can come across in the exams. It's a kind of a style which will not be very comfortable to somebody who is not very good in English, right? So we should be used to it. Okay, and in the middle of the session, I would like you to do one thing. Click on the like button if you like the session, right, and share it as far as possible, as widely as possible, because everybody should benefit from this. All clear so far? Right. Now, so By now, it is very deeply established that the author is against this concept of being authentic, right? Or trying to be yourself. And he's saying that it's all foolish because there is no need to try to be yourself, number one. And number two, you cannot be authentic by trying to be yourself, because when you are trying to be yourself, everybody is doing it, so you are not authentic, right? So, Manoj, synonym of posers, pretenders, right? People who deceive. Pose matlab to pretend. Okay, so synonym of poser, pretender, you can say. Somebody who pretends, right? One who puts on a disguise. So you can say that. Okay, clear? All clear, I hope. Okay, right. And let's see. Everybody is clear? Right, so let's read and see. Despite its ubiquity, there is nothing necessary about authenticity. So he is further attacking this concept of authenticity. What is ubiquity? Ubiquity, as all of you can see, it is a noun, right? So ubiquity is a noun. What does it mean? Ubiquity means being present everywhere, found everywhere, or being present everywhere. Found or present everywhere. So there's something that is ubiquity, right? Ubiquitous would be something that is found or present everywhere. All clear, right? So despite its ubiquity, right? What is this it's here? He's referring to authenticity. Despite its ubiquity, there's nothing necessary about authenticity. He's saying authenticity is not necessary, right? Why does he say it is not necessary? First of all, it's a luxury. Luxury matlab it is something only which is more like a, it is not necessary. What is a luxury? Luxury is what you indulge in when you have excess resources. Okay, I hope everybody is getting this point. So he's telling us that authenticity is not at all necessary. In fact, you can indulge in it only when you have more resources than you require. Matlab, it is only for the rich and the influential, right? So Aditya, ubiquitous, present everywhere, right? So correct, right? So ubiquity is the noun form of ubiquitous. Clear hai, I think, Aditya? So ubiquitous is an adjective and ubiquity is the noun. Okay, clear hai? I hope everybody is clear with this, right? Right. So the first reason he is saying it is a luxury, right? Only those who are comfortable enough can, when you comfortable enough to take the necessities of life for granted, can turn their attention to authenticity. Matlab, only when you have all the basic needs covered, then you can think of authenticity. For a person who is hungry, iska koi matlab nahi hai. Getting the point? So this is only a luxury, not a necessity. This is the first thing that he's saying, right? Now, why is he saying the second reason why he does not like or he is against authenticity is something which is given in the next line onwards. Let's see. Secondly, authenticity has a history. Other cultures and times haven't given the self nearly so much weight, nor have they frowned so much upon conformity, right? Frown kya hota hai, right? In fact, frowned upon is a phrasal verb. To frown upon basically means to disagree or to disapprove, right? So frown upon is when you disapprove. Okay, so frown upon is disapprove. Now, what is the meaning of frown? Frown is an expression of disagreement or anger, right? Right, chehre pe, if you bring your eyebrows together like this, and if you look at the person as if you are disagreeing with him, that is called frowning. So frown upon means to look at something in a disapproving or disagreeing manner. Right. So, Satabdi, what is the meaning of authenticity? Authenticity basically means being original, being genuine. Right. I hope you attended from the beginning only. What was he saying? See, the quest to be yourself. I should be myself. Right. I should not try to copy somebody else. That is authenticity. He is saying it is foolish. Okay. Clear? Clear hai, Satabdi? It is clear, I hope. Right. So, clear hai? Right. So frowned upon. So second reason is saying that it is authenticity has a history, right? In the sense that he's saying there are other cultures, right, who have not thought about it so much. It is only their culture. It is only the author's culture that is giving a lot of importance to authenticity, right? Which culture is he talking about? He's talking about the Western Christian culture. आगे जाके पता चलेगा, we will understand it. So everybody is clear? Okay, Kanhaiyaram, conformity means following the rules, traditions, right? Clear hai? Right. Now if you notice straight away, यहाँ एक idea है which I would like everybody to understand. He is saying that this obsession with authenticity is unique to the author's culture. Other cultures do not pay a lot of attention to it. Right. So he's going to tell you historically how has the author's culture, which is his culture, Western Christian culture, how does it give a lot of importance to authenticity? कोई जरूरत नहीं है इसकी. So that is what he's telling. Right. Self-actualization. What is self-actualization? Self-actualization is realizing your own self. मैं कौन हूँ? Who am I? Right. The fullest potential of who am I? Realizing that is called self-actualization, which is basically the part of, which is similar to authenticity, trying to be yourself. Right. It is often subordinated. What is the meaning of subordinated? Subordinated basically means to be kept at a lower position. Right. To be kept at a lower position, if not completely subsumed. Subsumed means to be included by a larger thing. For example, if I say this is X and this is Y, I will say Y subsumes X. Right. This is the meaning of subsume. I hope everybody is clear. So self-actualization is kept at a lower position too, and it is included as a part by service to the family, tradition, or to God. Okay? It's all clear, I hope so far. Right. Now let's read further and see. Thinking about the history and contingency. Contingency basically means urgency. So what do we understand? He is telling you, first of all, trying to be authentic is completely unnecessary. Only when you have enough power, enough resources, you will think about it. Second, it is unique to the author's culture. Other cultures do not discuss it. So it has been unnecessarily given a lot of importance. Right. So he's telling you in other cultures it is taken care of by other means. Right. And so that way he is telling you, let's understand the way to approach it. So he, in a way, right. So in a way he is telling us that if you study history as to how throughout the author's cultural history, right, how did people start focusing on authenticity, we will understand what is the importance. Okay, right. So Priya, subsume basically means to be covered, right, to be covered by a larger thing. So you can say that, right. So you can say, the independence of the country subsumes your own independence. That means your independence is smaller, it is already included in that. Okay, clear? Right. Subsume does not mean exclude. Kanhaiyaram, subsume does not mean exclude. Subsume means already included. So if I say my independence or my freedom is subsumed by the country's freedom, what does it mean? The country's freedom is a larger thing, it already includes. So that is what is the meaning of subsume. Okay, clear everybody? Right. So what do you understand from now? From this, we understand that the author is going to discuss the historically in his culture, how did people start focusing on authenticity, right? So that is what he does. Authenticity seems, at least initially, to have had a religious component. So now, and if you notice, Kanhaiyaram, eclipsed is a very close synonym but not exactly the same, right? Eclipse basically means to be overshadowed. ठीक है, तो उससे बहुत similar है. Of course 100% similar, तो कोई भी, no two words are exactly the same, right? Now I hope all of you are getting the sense of what we're discussing here, right? What did I predict before? I predicted that before we read this slide, that the author is going to understand the historically how did authenticity became so important in the author's culture. He is revealing it here. Western authenticity cannot be understood without reference to that particular Christian God who decided to become a man. So he is telling you this authenticity and the obsession with authenticity is something which is there in the Western culture. It is there in the Western religious culture, not in other cultures. I hope everybody is clear with this. Yes. So far it is all clear, I hope. Yes. Right, I hope you're reading it. 20 seconds, then we will discuss, discuss the entire slide, right? So if you notice, what I'm doing with you is very simple. I am practically showing you how things are to be done when it comes to reading. So there will come a certain time, if you do this every day, there will be a certain point of time after 2, 3, 4 months, you will be able to do this yourself very smoothly. That day you can say you are prepared for the exam. Right. Okay. Mahalakshmi, the first line I'm explaining, right? Authenticity seems to have had a religious component. So he is saying authenticity ki origin kahan se hai? It started from religion, right? So, and Western authenticity, meaning how the Western culture thinks of authenticity, it cannot be understood without reference to Christianity as a religion, right? So the Christian God who decided to become a man, he is referring to Jesus. If you read further, you will understand it clearly, right? So who decided to become a man? One way to understand authenticity is as the inheritance we are left with after God passes away. What is inheritance? Inheritance is something which you get from your ancestors. What is given to you, right? Something which is given to you from the previous generation. That is inheritance, right? Let's say you inherited property from your parents or your grandparents. That is called inheritance. Okay. So now if you understand, he is saying the origin of the Western obsession with authenticity is it lies in religion. Right. Kaun sa religion? Christian religion, because of course that is the Western religion. So one way to understand authenticity is as the inheritance you are left with after God passes away. God passes away. Can God die? Now he is referring to Jesus. Okay. In personalizing God. So by making God a human being, Christianity foregrounded. What is foregrounded? Foregrounded means gave importance to, right? Gave importance, right? Or focused on. So gave importance to or focused on. So if you notice in the history of Christianity, how Jesus Christ was born as a human being, his entire struggle, his entire story, it focused, it focused the inward struggle of the believer. So in a way, he is telling you this is the original instance of obsession with authenticity. Okay, all clear, I hope. Manoj is asking me the meaning of inheritance. Inheritance is जो हमें विरासत में मिलता है, right? Like let's say your grandfather had a lot of property. Okay, your father inherited that property from him. So that is your father's inheritance. So when you get it from your father, right? So that is also inheritance. Clear hai, I hope, right? Immanent is different. Immanent is different. Immanent is an adjective, Mahalakshmi. Immanent basically means something that is inborn. Okay, something that is inborn. Right. So something that is inborn. Immanent, different. Inheritance is, listen to me, everybody, I'm explaining again. Inheritance is what you get from the previous generation. Let's say your father has a 300-acre property. If he gives it to you, right, after he goes away, if he gives it to you, you have inherited that property from him. Okay, clear, right? And Mahalakshmi, immanent, you are probably looking for a word like inherent. That is different, right? Immanent means inherent or inborn. What different? Okay, all clear, I hope. Yes. So let's see, I hope all of you understand this line. He's telling in this slide, he's telling us that authenticity or obsession. Why do you like authenticity? It all started from the history of Christianity. So Christianity foregrounded the inward struggle of the believer in the form of Jesus Christ, whom Wilde is basically, Oscar Wilde called the first individualist in history. Now understand this. So Jesus Christ was the first individualist. Who is an individualist? Somebody who focuses on self-analysis, who focuses on himself, right? So it's used in a positive way. So our entire attempt at trying to be ourselves, it started first with Jesus Christ. Are you getting the point? Yes. So God wasn't just a Lord to serve, but one of us, because Jesus Christ was one of us according to Christian traditions. So a human being with a personal narrative. Narrative means a story, nothing else. Narrative is nothing else but a story that holds lessons for his humble servants. Jesus' struggle with temptation, his rejection of hypocritical dogma. Right. What is dogma? Dogma is any belief that you hold without questioning, blind belief. So dogma is blind belief. And what is hypocritical? Hypocritical is adopting substandard practices. Substandard, sorry, uh, adopting dual standards, saying something and doing something else. That is called hypocrisy. Okay? And dogma is blind belief. So if you notice, whatever Jesus went through, right, he struggled with temptation, he rejected dogma, that is also hypocritical dogma, right, his willing self-sacrifice, right. So this is the starting of human beings attempt at looking inwards, अपने आप को खुद के अंदर झांक के देखना. That self analysis was first started by Jesus. It was first started by the Christian tradition, and that is why the entire West seems to be following it. Okay, all clear? Ankita, so far what is the tone of the passage? Here in this slide, when he is examining history, right, he is descriptive here. He is describing, or you can say he is presenting his argument. In the initial 1 or 2 slides, he was sarcastic. So the tone changes. Right. So yes, in the beginning it was sarcastic, right? He was, you probably say sarcastic se zyada, he was humorous, right? He was witty. Now he is analytical. Now he is analytical. Are you getting the point? So the tone has changed. He is analytical here. There is no humor here. He is doing a deep analysis of how authenticity came to be started with. Everybody is clear with this? Yes. Okay, right. So now everybody understood this point, I hope. Shall we move on to the next slide? I hope everybody is understanding what we are doing, right? Sabko samajh mein aa raha, I hope, right? So this is how you should read, right? I keep on telling this again and again. Try to replicate the method which I am showing to you practically. Okay, shall we look at the next slide? Chalo, next slide. Right, now to see what is new here, consider the difference between Moses 40 years in the desert and Jesus' 40 days, right? So he is telling you, he told you that this beginning of self-analysis, it was started by Jesus Christ. He is saying, to understand this properly, look at the difference between Moses and Jesus, right? Moses was the first, was the apostle. He founded what we, what we know as the, he was the prophet of the Jewish religion, as you know now, right? And if you notice, Judaism, the first testament, in fact, of the first testament of the Bible, it was basically based on that, right? So Moses before Jesus Christ, right? In short, you can connect him to Jewish religion nowadays, right? And by the way, they are actually, connected to each other. So he is asking us to understand how Jesus started this self-individual analysis. Look at the difference between him. Let's see. Moses' struggle is external, very clear. Moses' struggle is external. That means Jesus' structural. His struggle is going to be internal, right? So to subordinate himself. Subordinate basically means to place himself under, right? To place under or to place below. So he is going to place himself under God. Matlab, he is going to think that God is higher than him. Okay? So that is Jesus' struggle. Follow his instructions, right? And lead his chosen people to the promised land. This is what we know as, as Israel now. So anyway, let's not get into that. That is politics also. Anyway, so Moses, his struggle was external. He was directed, right? Now, by contrast, Jesus' struggle is internal and psychological. This is the beginning of self-analysis. All clear, I hope? Everybody is clear with this, I hope? Yes. Let me give you 30 seconds to read. Then you can probably catch up with me. Right. And if in the meantime, if you have anything to ask, if you cannot understand any line, you should basically do so. So one more thing that most people would be thinking now is, if you read like this, it will take a lot of time. The answer is no, right? You will not take a lot of time. Here it looks like it is taking a lot of time because I am explaining it to you, right? Explanation multiplies the time by more than 10 times, right? So Raj, subordinate. Subordinate, if I use it as a noun, it means somebody who is below you. For example, a police inspector, उसके नीचे जो हवलदार है, they are his subordinates. So here I am using it as a verb. Subordinate. So Moses subordinate himself to God. मतलब he thinks that he is a follower of God. God is higher than himself, right? So to place himself at a lower position, that is subordinate. ठीक है, clear है? Right. So by now, I hope everybody is very clear about why the author is telling us that Jesus's struggle, his entire story, is the beginning of inward analysis. वही तो था. That is what he was telling us. Everybody, we should try to be ourselves, right? Try to explore yourself. This idea was all started by Jesus. ठीक है, all clear, right? That is why the author was telling us that this concept of self-actualization, this concept of realizing ourselves, it is unique to the Western culture. And by the way, Western culture is something which follows Christianity. Clear hai? Everybody is clear so far, I hope, right? So everything that follows afterwards is a description of Jesus only. He endows. Endows basically means gives, right? Or grants. So gives or grants. So he endows human life in general with a touch of the divine. So he gives human life or he grants human life some divine, something divine. Okay, Vicky, what is the meaning of dramatizes? Vicky, dramatizes का मतलब है to exaggerate, drama की तरह present करना, right? So if you dramatize something, that means जो reality है उसको थोड़ा सा exaggerate करके to present it like a drama. So that is what is the meaning. ठीक है, right? So his story is puts in stark, right? Stark basically means uncovered. Stark means uncovered. So it puts in unrelief, stark relief. मतलब stark unrelief means pure uncovered relief. ठीक है, right? Okay, Priya, endows is used for giving or granting. Here it is not money because he is giving human life with the touch of the divine. So what is giving us is like the divine gift. So it is not money. Endowment is used for giving something valuable. Here it is Jesus giving us a touch of हमारे normal human life में थोड़ा सा God वाला quality प्रदान किया. That is endow here. ठीक है, clear Priya? Is it clear now? So we should actually put things according to the context. Is this clear to everybody? Priya, including Priya and everybody else? Yes, I think, right? Okay, now he puts in stark means uncovered relief he puts in stark relief a whole inner world, dramatizes it and elevates it. Elevates it basically means to raise to a higher level. So raise to a higher level. So that is basically nothing else but raising to a that is what Jesus does. Everybody is clear, right? So what he does is he puts the entire spotlight on inner struggle, right? And he exaggerates it, of course, in a positive way, right? And he raises it to a higher level. A long history of torture, self-scrutiny follows. Why does he call it torture? Because the journey of Christ is full of suffering. Self-scrutiny basically is when you look at yourself, right? All clear so far? So far, if you notice in the last 2-3 slides, the author has been very seriously analytical. उससे पहले he was humorous, he was witty, right? But so now he has turned to analysis. ठीक है? All clear? Everybody is clear? So what is scrutiny? Scrutiny is examination. So self-examination, अपने आप को सुधारने का जो that process is called self-scrutiny. Everybody is clear so far, I hope. Shall we look at, yes, Twinkle, correct. Self-scrutiny is very similar to introspection. Vaishnavi, scrutiny means examination or analysis, right? So what does a professor do, right? Let's say you have in the board exams, let's say you have got 70 out of 100. You want your paper to be scrutinized again. That means you want to find out, properly examine करके कहीं गलती हुआ है marking में. ठीक है? Clear everybody? Vaishnavi and Umang, scrutiny समझ में आ गया? Scrutiny means close examination. ठीक है? Clear everybody? Yes. Let's look at the next slide. Right. Abhinav, stark means naked, uncovered. मतलब clear, something which is very openly visible. Stark means uncovered. ठीक है, क्लियर, राइट. Okay, Priya, verify basically means to try to prove to be correct. Verify means to be proved to be correct. Shatabdi समझ में आ गया. Stark means uncovered. That means very easily visible, something which can be felt and understood very easily. Stark reality मतलब absolute reality, not covered or hidden. ठीक है, clear, right. Now next slide. In this slide you will come across a lot of words which are difficult, so let's see. So there's a lot of, if you notice, there's a lot of words here. Let's see. Okay, so perhaps the most important early tortured soul was that of Saint Augustine. So he's now telling you somebody who followed this path which was highlighted by Jesus Christ. Saint Augustine, a philosopher and priest, right, who is often credited with originating the modern sense of inwardness. What is inwardness? अपने आप को झांक के देखना, to understand, right, to look at yourself. Okay, Priya, scrutiny and verify थोड़ा सा फर्क है, right. Verify means to find out and to try to prove if it is right or wrong, right. Scrutiny means close examination. ठीक है, so suppose if I tell you, right, that Mahatma Gandhi was born in a certain village, you can verify it, right, but you cannot scrutinize it. ठीक है, scrutiny is examination, close examination, inspection. ठीक है, right. So let's see. Perhaps the most important, so all of you know by now that you are speaking about how this path of inwardness was there in Jesus Christ's story. The first person who did this, was Saint Augustine. Jesus Christ inspired, and it was followed first by Saint Augustine. Now let's see. The hedonist son of a pious mother, Augustine searched for meaning in sex, heretical Manichaeism, and the classics before his come to Jesus moment, right? Before his come to Jesus moment. Now, yahan tak paro, let's first analyze up to here. Now, this is where I should tell you, you come across many words which are foreign, which are new to you. I will try to explain some, and I will try to make you understand by using the context. For example, hedonist का मतलब क्या हुआ? Somebody, right, who runs after pleasure, ayyash. Right, somebody who runs after pleasure. Hedonist is one who runs after pleasure, one who follows or pursues pleasure. ठीक है. Pious कौन है? Pious means God fearing, right? भगवान मतलब संस्कारी type का, right? So the hedonist son of a sanskari mother, right? Somebody who who fears and worships God, right? So all clear now. You can easily understand that he searched for meaning in sex. इससे समझ में आएगा कि अच्छा, he is a hedonist, somebody who runs after pleasure, right? And he is in contrast to his mother. ठीक है, all clear. शताब्दी, inwardness मतलब अपने अंदर झांक के देखना, राइट. इंट्रोस्पेक्शन, वही तो थीम है जो अभी तक चलते आ रहा है, जो जीसस क्राइस्ट ने इंस्पायर किया सब में. ऑगस्टीन वाज द फर्स्ट पर्सन टू फॉलो इट. ठीक है, राइट. सो व्हाट इज पायस? पायस मींस गॉड फियरिंग, राइट. संस्कारी, इन शॉर्ट, इन इंग्लिश यू कैन, इन हिंदी यू कैन से संस्कारी, समबडी हु वर्शिप्स. ठीक है, राइट. Synonyms for hedonist. Okay, Mahalakshmi, it would be very difficult to find a synonym for hedonist because it is taken from a philosophy, right? So it will be very difficult to find. You can say one who likes pleasure, right? Somebody who runs after pleasure, right? It would be very difficult to find an exact synonym because it's taken from a philosophy. Okay, right. Suraj, one who thinks about pleasure, not just thinking. Hedonist is one who pursues pleasure. Ayyash, जैसे, think about it like this, right? Twinkle, philanderer is different. Philanderer is a person who flirts, is a man who flirts a lot, right? So वो सिर्फ flirting करता है. Hedonist will look for pleasure everywhere. ठीक है, clear है? Slight difference. I hope everybody understands this, right? Now let's try to guess what is this heretical Manichaeism, right? Now I'll explain this. Manichaeism को बाद में, first let's understand heretical. Heretical comes from the word heresy, right? Heretical is an adjective. Heresy is opposition to religion, right? Or holding a belief that is opposite of religion. Okay, right. So Twinkle, Casanova, and Philanderer are similar, right? But hedonist is bigger. My hedonist can be he will follow any, मतलब drinking भी कर सकता है, pleasure, all pleasures of life. Okay. Now I hope everybody understands heresy. Heresy is holding a belief that is different from the main religion. In short, going against religion, that is heresy, and it is used mostly in Christian religions only. Okay, so heretical Manichaeism. Now let me tell you, Manichaeism is nothing else but an alternative religion to Christianity. It was there before Islam came into being, so it was like another religion which was the opposite or the rival of Christianity. So it was a rival of Christianity, a rival religion of Christianity before Islam came into being. So now from this, if I mean, even if you do not know, nothing wrong, but I'm just telling you these are words which are quite new, right? ये तो in fact quite specific भी, right? Heretical से समझ में आ गया. Heretical, what is heretical? Heretical is nothing else but going against religion. Now you understand, right? It is heretical because it was the opposite of Christianity, और उस जमाने में Christianity was the main religion. ठीक है? All clear? Everybody is clear so far? Right. Okay, one more thing. And one more thing, classics. When you say classics, what do you mean by classics? This is where I need you to understand the context also, right? When he says classics, when you say classic, what is a classic? Something that belongs to the old times and of great quality, that is called a classic, right? Something which is of great quality or something which belongs to the great old times, that is called classic. Okay, so Janina is hearing for the first time, no problem, but I've explained to you now. Manichaeism is a religion that was opposite of Christianity. Okay, heretical सबको समझ में आया, right? Raj, heretical is an adjective, right? Heretical means going against religion, right? So why is Manichaeism going against religion? Because Manichaeism was the opposite, or was like a rival or an opponent of Christianity. So Christianity के लिए Manichaeism was like heresy. Getting the point, Raj? Everybody else getting the point, I hope? Just confirm so that I can, continue. Clear hai heretical? Yes, right. Now coming to the next word, that is classics. Classics, when you say classics, you basically mean something of great quality or something of something that comes from the old, from the past, and also of great quality, right? Now, but if you use the word classics with the capital C, and if you use it in the Western culture, it will refer to old Greek and Latin. It will refer to all Greek and Latin philosophy. It will refer to all Greek and Latin culture, Latin philosophy, right? Even learning and knowledge. So when you say classics with the capital C, and if a European says it, he means Greek, Latin learning, Greek, Latin culture, जो पुराना है उनका. ठीक है? All clear, everybody? Is it clear up to here? Right. So here you are talking about the history of this person, Saint Augustine. So he was born as a pleasure-seeking son of a very God-fearing mother, right? And he looked for meaning in sex. He indulged in a religion which was against Christianity, and he also read the classics. When he says the classics, Greek and Latin. Now you understand. Greek and Latin culture, Greek and Latin philosophy, वो Christianity से पहले का है. So he read all these, then he came to Jesus. So eventually Saint Augustine, before he became a Christian, right, he explored all these things. Okay, everybody is clear? Mahalakshmi, unorthodox is a much milder word. Unorthodox means not following traditions, right? And heretical is like going against religion. So it is stronger in its effect. Okay. Now, Shatabdi, classics, I have already told you, I'm telling you again, classics when a European person says classics, he means Greek and Latin philosophy, Greek and Latin knowledge, Purana. Okay, that is what he means by classics. All clear, right? So before coming to Jesus, he went through a range of all these things. I hope it is clear now, right? Now, so he went through all these period, right? That serves as a pivot. Pivot basically means, what is a pivot? A very something that plays a very central role, right? A central, an important, something that plays an important or central role, right? So a pivot is something that plays a very important or a central role. Okay, right? So if you notice, so in his confessions, one finds the searching, longing, introspection, and even the self-centered and ironic detachment, right? Now, why does he say ironic detachment? I will ask now. Everybody, focus on these lines. Take some time, right? Why does he say ironic detachment? Detachment, matlab kya hai? Not concerned. You are detached. Basically means you separate yourself. Right. So why does he say ironic? Ironic means something that is self-contradictory. So why is it self-contradictory? Let me ask you. If you read this, the lines which I have underlined, you will make it very easily clear. Right. So Kanhaiya, right? Pivot is basically fixed central role. Right. So pivot is in mechanical engineering. In mechanics, a pivot is the central. It could be. It's like a pin on which everything else turns. Okay, right. Now, I want everybody to answer my question. Ironic detachment. Why does he say ironic detachment? It is very easily explained in the words which I have, which I have underlined. Mahalakshmi, introspection क्या है? Introspection मतलब to look at oneself, looking inwards, self-analysis. Okay. Now, everybody, please try to answer the question. Ironic detachment. Why does he say ironic detachment? Aditya, okay. Ironic नहीं देखो, detachment के बारे में है. Detachment basically means you are, you are not attached to anything. That means detachment is when you are not connected to the material world, right? सब चीजों से ऊपर उठ गया, that is detached, right? So it's like the quality of a sadhu, right, or a priest, right? He should be detached from the material world. So why does he call it ironic detachment? Aditya, read it again. The original idea of introspection nahi, right? So introspection to wo chhod diya na, longing, introspection, and even the self-centered and ironic detachment. This is another idea. What I'm asking you is the answer to this. You can find it here. Help me to be chaste, but not yet. Being chaste basically means following strict discipline, not indulging in pleasures, right? So chaste basically means deeply disciplined, right? Strictly, religious. So disciplined and strictly religious, that is chaste, right? So he says, okay, so why does he call it ironic detachment? Look at the line. देखो, Augustine क्या कहता है? Help me to be chaste, but not yet. This is humorous here. I think you will find it humorous. Why? Augustine is saying, God को वो pray कर रहा है. He's saying, Lord, Bhagwan, help me to be free from this world's attractions. लेकिन अभी नहीं. What does it mean? लेकिन अभी नहीं. That means थोड़ा और indulge करने दो. Getting it now? This is why he calls it ironic. Is everybody clear? Aditya, he is ironic detachment क्यों कह रहा है? देखो, it's not because of the earlier thing. Here, look at this line. He says, Lord, help me to be free from the material attractions. But अभी नहीं, थोड़ा और enjoy करने दो. Right? Notice this, but not yet. This is the source of the, attachment. Is it clear, everybody, now? So this is why he calls it ironic detachment. Now, if you notice, this is called contextual awareness, contextual skill. इसके लिए कोई rocket science की जरूरत नहीं. Everything is right there in front of you. ठीक है? So you need to connect things to each other. So this is what I want everybody to be able to achieve. Right? And by the way, before we proceed any further, let me ask everybody, right, is today's passage a little bit tough? Is it a little bit tough? It might be tough, right? But if you are able to read and interpret something like this, तो passages तो बहुत easily हो जाएगा, right? So that's exactly why every day I pick up articles from different sources, different difficulty levels. So my aim is to expose you, introduce you to as much, things, as many difficult topics like this as possible. All clear, right? So do you want to continue? Want to continue? It's been around an hour, right? I'm not really sure whether you are in the right frame of mind to continue, right? Shall we continue? Chalo, karte hain, right? Let's see. Right. So one slide, I'll give you 20 seconds to read it, and then I will discuss it. This will also contain, this will be the last slide for today, right? So we will take it to be the last slide. Okay. Anshu, heretical Manichaeism. Manichaeism was a religion that was opposed to Christianity. Okay. Heretical means against religion, right? So why does the author say Manichaeism is heretical? Because Manichaeism was opposite of Christianity, right? So it was called heretical. Okay, clear? Okay, Shatabdi, how to speed up? Okay, speed reading is a process which will take another, इसमें, you'll have to, do certain things, right? कुछ steps है, right? So that we will cover in another session, right? We'll take it up in probably sometime later on. I will, also pitch in with, there are sessions on that I will take once in a while, right? So I'll take it once in a while so that you can read faster, right? But I would always say, first focus on understanding completely. Speed अपने आप आ जाता है, right? If you start focusing on speed before understanding, it will fail, right? First, be very familiar with the process of reading. उसके बाद अपने आप you will become faster, right? Okay. Janina, which article is this? This is from Eon. I'll show you the source later on. मैंने beginning में भी बताया था. Source मैं बाद में दिखाऊंगा, right? Eon करके एक article है, ठीक है? Now, let this be the last slide. So Augustine's aim is not so much to celebrate, actualize, or find a self as to narrate the process of transcending. Transcending means to go beyond, right? So his aim is basically to focus on the process of going beyond what we are in this material world, right? Satabdi, any more sessions? The YouTube, there would be sessions, but not in exactly English or wo to that. I am not really sure. You will have a timetable for that, right? So this session that I am taking is there on YouTube, right? On the Gradeup app at 12 o'clock, I'll also take a session on vocabulary, right? So that is, these two things run parallel, right? Okay. Now, what is self-abnegation? Self-abnegation means self-denial, right? Self-denial, deny किसको करना है? Luxuries of life, right? Life के जो comfort है उसको deny करना, ठीक है? So next word is chronicle. I will tell you all the words and we will probably end it here, ठीक है? Right? Now, chronicle, here it is used as a verb. So chronicle basically is used to mean records, ठीक है? I think, this will be enough for today. Right, let's not push it too further, right? But I hope all of you understood the point. As I was telling you, बहुत सारे, there are many, slides, right? I will end it here, no problem. This one of you was asking me about the source. The source is this Aeon, right? You can find a lot of articles from here, right? So we will end it here today. I hope everybody understood. Idea here is, if you are able to read difficult passages like this, everything will become easy, right? So tomorrow, you can, we'll also attend, we will take up the same, I will continue with the same session, right? And in fact, as one of you was asking, right, there is an article, there are many sessions today. In fact, there's an entire timetable. Just click on the channel. You can, if you are subscribed to the channel, you just have to click on it. You just have to find it out there. Okay, right? Okay. Right, so shall we end it here? Yes, and before I end, let me quickly tell you about some courses. Right, there's this course for Maharashtra CET. It's something which will help you improve your score. Right, CAT 2022. For those of you who would like to start from the basics, from the foundation, you can think of joining this CAT 2022. Right, these are the upcoming batches. Right, for the for CAT. Right, there is this batch, weekend batch for CAT 2021 is starting here. Right. There is another batch called Retakers Rankers batch. This is basically meant for people who have taken the exam. It will be slightly fast track, slightly advanced, right? And there is an exam. There is also a batch for SNAP, right? NMAT, CMAT is exclusive. This will be starting from the 17th of May, right? And I hope all of you know about Gradeup Super. You can subscribe for 3 periods, and the offer is, if you subscribe to Gradeup, right, you will get free internet. So this is something which will help you there. Okay, right. And there's also this, on the occasion of Eid, you can get a 55% off using this code EID55. So all these are things which you can also get a 10% off, right? And do not forget to like and share the session, right? And by the way, some of you are asking questions. So Anshu, what is the meaning of existentialist? I'll tell you. Existentialism is a philosophy. So existentialist is a person who believes in that philosophy. What does it mean? Right, it says that we should focus on life, existence itself, rather than trying to find what is the meaning behind life, right? Think about it like this. Most philosophies will try to explore questions like, what is the value of life? What is the meaning of life? Existentialism is a philosophy which says it is not important to understand the value or the meaning or the worth of life, because there may be no worth. So they focus only on life itself. So it's a very materialistic kind of a philosophy, right? So with that, we come to the end of the session. Anybody else has any questions to ask, you can do so quickly before we end. And by now, I think all of you are aware. Subscribe to the YouTube channel to get access to more sessions like this. You can follow us on Facebook also. You can join us on Telegram. You can follow us on Instagram also, right? So Satabdi vocab session is on the app. It is at 12 o'clock, right? So you can attend that. Okay, right. Okay, so shall we end it here? Yes, thank you everybody. See you again tomorrow, 10 o'clock. I'll be back with another article. Right, so thank you everybody.